Blog Talk Radio.
Calling all men, it's now your time for your show with your coach, the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. Relax, be heard, and be understood. It's a show where men can be men. Now here's the coach who has your back, Linda Gross.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Men's Advocate Show with me, your host, Linda Gross. Today, we are talking about gender confusion. Are your children at risk? Are they an experiment in today's world? I seem to think so. E-cigarettes are now the most frequently used tobacco product among adolescents. Some 2.1 million middle and high school students were e-cigarette users in 2017. Far surpassing traditional regular cigarettes. What is their effect doing to your kids' minds and bodies? That's what we're going to discover today. If you want to call in on this topic, you can do so. Call us at 323-642-1677, 323-642-1677. Although e-cigarettes have been around for more than a decade, vaping rates have skyrocketed in recent years, especially among teens. E-cigarettes are now the most frequently used tobacco product among adolescents. Juuling, spelled J-U-U-L, and it's pronounced Juuling, J-U-L-L is the name of the product, is a popular vape device that comes in fun flavors, looks like a flash drive, and can be charged in a USB port. It's especially concerning. Some 2.1 million middle and high school students were e-cigarette users in 2017. So one Juul pod, claims their website, contains 20 cigarettes worth of nicotine. Juul also contains the addictive chemical, as we all know it, nicotine, which is harmful to the adolescent brain development. Many e-cigarette users incorrectly believe that they aren't consuming nicotine when they vape. The majority of youth e-cigarette users think that they vape only flavoring, not nicotine. By law, under the age of 18 or in some states 21 should not be able to purchase any tobacco products, including Juul, because Juul does have tobacco in it. So how are so many young people getting their hands on Juul? The Truth Initiative surveyed a national sample of more than 1,000 12 to 17-year-olds in April 2018 and found that nearly three-fourths, yes, you heard that number right, 70% of our youth said that they obtained Juul at a store or a retail outlet. Wow, how is this happening? As of 2017, Juul Labs is an electronic cigarette company which makes the Juul e-cigarette, which packages nicotine salt from leaf tobacco into one-time use cartridges. As of last year, it boasts $2 billion in sales, employs 1,500 people, and is based out of San Francisco. Juul delivers high levels of nicotine, making the product extremely addictive. The company that makes and markets Juul recently exceeded a $10 billion valuation, which is faster than any company, including Facebook. Juul sales now make up more than half the e-cigarette market. Last month, the FDA announced that it will be cracking down not only on illegal sales of e-cigarettes to minors, but also the kid-friendly marketing and appeal of these products, because we see clear signs that use of electronic cigarettes has reached epidemic proportions. Teachers, health professionals, and parents are alarmed by this trend and trying to educate not only teens, but also themselves, as it is still so new. So what is vaping? Well, vaping is the act of inhaling and exhaling the vapor produced by the heated nicotine liquid, often called juice, which is also part of the name of the product, Juul, of an electronic cigarette. So it can be an e-cig, a vape pen, a personal vaporizer, commonly called juuling. What originated as a way to quit smoking has quickly become popular and addictive product in its own right. There's an MD who's a child and adolescent psychiatrist at the Child Mind Institute, and he attributes the recent rise in popularity to packaging and advertising. He says that the teens are after innovation and they're attracted by sleek design and ease of use. They look like an Apple product. I mean, it's so cool to be able to pull this thing out of your pocket or out of your purse. You look really cool. Although vaping companies emphatically deny that they are marketing to young people, critics note such features in their advertising as youthful images and colors, animation, actors who appear to be under 21, and suggestions that vaping makes you look happier and improves your social status. Now, way back in the day, decades ago, McDonald's invented this concept of marketing to children. They would target 4 and 5-year-olds. So the parents would come in and they would have Happy Meals that are specially sized for children. So the parents liked that. They were a cheaper rate. They were a smaller version of the adult version, and the kid also walked away with a little toy. So the toy kept them entertained so mom and dad could enjoy their meal without their kids squealing and making a fuss all over the place, right? So with years and years of indoctrination of the toy and the smaller meal, that person became an adult. He or she then made a decision to continue to buy McDonald's into adulthood. And then when that same person had kids themselves, guess where the first place that they were going to take them? Of course, McDonald's. So targeting to children is a very, very effective advertising technique, and the vaping people here are no exception to that rule. Of course, they're going to continue on this tact as well. Although some of the health risks associated with vaping appear to be less severe than traditional cigarettes, meaning that there's no tar, for example, as in cigarettes, but there are still risks. So some of the known risks of vaping are e-cigarettes contain high levels of nicotine. According to the company's website, the nicotine content of one Juul pod is the equivalent to 1 pack of cigarettes or about 200 puffs. Wow. So if you've just joined us, you're currently listening to the Men's Advocate Show with me, your host, Linda Gross. We are talking today about gender confusion, vaping. Do these two things relate? We're going to find out. You can call us on this at 323-642-1677, 323-642-1677. We'll catch you right back after the break, and we're going to go over more of the risks of vaping.
The Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. We will be discussing men's issues, dating, relationships, sex, women, fitness, health, business, men's hobbies, men's rights, and more. She will be talking about excerpts from her men's book, Mastering Women, too.
Hi, guys. You've heard her on the Men's Advocate Show. Linda Gross wants you to know what turns a woman on and makes her go wild so she just can't help herself. Check out Linda's book, Mastering Women, Real Truth About Women That'll Change Your Life Forever. Linda gives you all the insider.
You've heard her on the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. How can you help further? From her Facebook fan page of the same name. Hit the Shop Now button and save this link to your favorites. Make all your usual Amazon purchases, and some of the revenue will support her show at no additional cost to you. No book purchase required. Just start with this link every time. The Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross thanks you.
Welcome back, everybody. You're currently listening to the Men's Advocate Show with me, your host, Linda Gross. Today we are talking about vaping and gender confusion. Are these two things related? Are your kids an experiment? What is going on? So let's continue on with more known risks of vaping. So, because of these high level nicotine levels, vaping is extremely addictive, and teens are already more susceptible to addiction than adults because their brains are still developing. Until age 25, their brains are not fully done. So, which makes them more likely to habituate to using drugs and alcohol. Addiction can impact the ability to focus. Vaping initially increases their alertness and attention, but then experience a decrease in attention span. One student, for example, was able to sit through practice ACT exams, but after juuling for 6 months, can't sit still because she starts craving, can't think of questions, and just starts fidgeting. E-cigarettes and similar devices contain carcinogenic compounds, and a recent study found significantly increased levels of carcinogens in the urine of teens who vape. A recent study found that vaping does, in fact, cause lung irritation akin to that seen in smokers and people with lung disease, and causes damage to vital immune system cells. Vaping increases heart rate and blood pressure, so can increase circulatory problems. One teen this psychiatrist works with, started vaping and found that his swim times dropped because he can no longer sustain the heart rate required for swimming. Kids are also vaping marijuana at increased rates, which brings its own health risks. So since they leave little odor, e-cigarettes are particularly easy to hide and even used discreetly in public places, including schools. So why should parents be concerned? Well, one problem with vaping is that that teens hear that it's not as bad for your health as smoking cigarettes and think there is no harm. They really think that they are mostly flavors and that they are inhaling a pleasant gas. A recent study of 12th graders found that kids who vaped but were not previously smokers were more than 4 times as likely to move away from the perception of e-cigarettes as posing a great risk of harm. The study and others like it have shown that teens who vape are much more likely to then start smoking cigarettes. The packaging does very little to convey the risks. It says 5% nicotine, which sounds like nothing. So teens think that it's 95% water weight or vapor. All right, so let's move on now to Charlize Theron. Okay, at age 3, her adopted son claims that he is a girl. So either because it's Hollywood or for whatever other reason, actress Theron decides to raise him as a girl. Now, not long ago, parents would scoff at a child's declaration as something that he or she will grow out of and nothing to make a big deal about. Now, they will probably cart the parent away for not yielding to the child's wishes. Now, her inspiration for following his lead, according to Theron, her own mother shot her father in front of her when she was but 15 years old. So her alcoholic and abusive father would regularly beat her mother, Gerda, and so her mother shot the father dead in an act of self-defense. So it's because of that experience, claims Theron, because of the experience with her mom and dad, she feels that it's her mission to make sure that they have everything they need in order to be what they want to be, that their kids, that the kids, have everything they need to be what they want to be. And if that includes being the opposite gender, so be it. So all the half-truths and the lies and the hiding that she went through when she was a child, she doesn't want her kids to experience any of that. She wants them to be open and honest about what they think and feel. And if the 3-year-old is saying, I'm not a boy, well, then it must be true. Let's move on to transgender kids and gender dysphoria. The disconnect between their experienced gender and their assigned gender can result in acute distress called gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria can be a source of profound suffering. A recent study of transgender teens found that more than 50% of transgender males and almost 30% of transgender females reported attempting suicide. Gender nonconformity can appear as young as 2 or 3 years of age. When children become aware of the notion of gender, they may assert, no, I'm a boy, or no, I'm a girl, just as their own son did earlier. Now, one form of treatment is called puberty suppression. It's a hormone treatment that suppresses puberty for as long as several years. And it's one strategy for buying time to be sure that you want to make that transition. So if you can stop puberty, then you don't have to worry about those secondary sex characteristics, the deepening of the voice, breast development, or even menstruation. So you don't have that added distress of your body acting in a way that isn't the way that you feel inside. Then after careful assessment, if you want to move on to hormone therapy, it's somewhat easier to get the outcome that they want. All right, if you've just joined us, you're currently listening to the Men's Advocate Show with me, your host, Linda Gross. We are talking about vaping. We're talking about gender confusion. What is going on here? Are your kids an experiment? I'll let you be the judge. So if you've just joined us, call us at 323-642-1677. Again, that number is 323-642-1677. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about vaping is bad for children, they claim, but sex change operations, not so much. So we'll catch you right back after the break.
Hey guys, do you have a nagging problem that you just can't get a handle on? Now you can talk to an expert coach right in the privacy of your own home. Meet in person, over the phone, or with a free Skype call anywhere in the world. Linda is here to make it easy for you. Linda Gross has done years of academic research combined with interviewing over 20,000 men. Linda's expert advice gets you through tackling relationship issues, business goals, conflict resolution, and removing lifetime roadblocks that have kept you back. Usually handled in 4 sessions or less. Realize the benefits now. Go to the Men's Advocate page /coaching and you'll be on your way. That's themensadvocate.com/coaching. Darn! Maybe you missed part of this show. Maybe you're still at work during the show. Maybe you heard the show but would like to listen again. Your problems are easily solved. Listen to any and all of Linda's archived shows at your convenience. Just Google SoundCloud The Men's Advocate. That's Google SoundCloud The Men's Advocate. The on-demand library is also available on the TuneIn app. Subscribe now and please share with your friends.
Welcome back, everybody. You're currently listening to the Men's Advocate Show with me, your host, Linda Gross. We are talking about vaping. We're talking about gender confusion. Are your kids an experiment? That's what we're talking about. You can join in on this discussion, 323-642-1677, 323-642-1677. Now, the Surgeon General recently made news warning parents against allowing their children to use electronic cigarettes. That being said, according to some medical and mental health professionals, somehow it certainly now is acceptable for children to attempt to change their gender by undergoing irreversible and potentially harmful medical treatment. He went on to say, the Surgeon General, that the enlightened liberal elite has been feverishly doing everything possible to convince the public that human gender is not determined by biological sex, but instead is determined by the individual's feelings and desires. They've been having that narrative for quite a few decades, not only with gender confusion, but many, many other things. They want to brainwash the public that we are influenced by nurture, which is our environment, our parents, our teachers, our wants, our desires, et cetera, and they want to dismiss and discount that we are influenced by biology, meaning our hormones, synapses, and the like. So in my book, Mastering Women, I take the first chapter and I dispel this, that there's so much activity that is biology related. It's inherent. You can't take those inherent qualities out of the person. Can you override them? Yes, of course. With conscious thought, you can override those qualities, but they are there. They're in your subconscious, they're in automatic mode, and they're ready to put into play, and that's just how it goes. All right. So you can, by the way, you can find my book, Mastering Women, on Amazon. It's in the ebook format. You can download it in a few seconds, or you can order the paperback version and they'll ship it to your house and you'll be on your way and you'll find out how all of this works. Is it nature or is it nurture? All right, so let's go back on to our topic here. We're going to talk about puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and sex change operations necessary for gender transitions may carry dangerous and irreversible side effects. Like e-cigarettes, researchers haven't yet done enough research about the harmful effects of these treatments, but what they know doesn't look good. And they're really not revealing this information to the public so the public can make an informed choice. So cross-sex hormones, meaning testosterone and estrogen, are associated with dangerous health risks, including but not limited to high blood pressure, blood clots, stroke, and cancer, according to the American College of Pediatricians. So there's a man who struggled with gender dysphoria for decades, and he shares his personal story last year in an article for The Federalist. His name is Walt Heyer. So he goes on to say, it is highly likely that doctors are administering powerful hormones with irreversible effects to normal boys and girls. My concern for trans kids is forged in my own life as a child transgender. I was told that because my strong feelings of being a girl on the inside had persisted for so long that I needed to alter my exterior appearance to match from man to woman. Because I was desperate for relief, I followed all the recommendations for someone with gender dysphoria and underwent the transition. I successfully lived and worked as a female for 8 years. But guess what? After the 8 years, the male came back. So it's kind of like that circus show in Las Vegas where they had the exotic white tigers, and unfortunately one of the white tigers, I think what he was trying to do is that his trainer had fallen down on the stage, and he picked up the trainer by the neck because he thought the trainer was in danger. I mean, that's what you would do with a cub, to drag him away to get out of danger. And so unfortunately, that hold, that biting was too strong, and the show got canceled. The trainer was severely injured and could no longer perform. The tiger was decommissioned. So the moral of the story is you can train this tiger for 20 years. He can be a lovely cat doing all these shows. He can roam around, outside in your home, and you both have a loving relationship. But anyway, you cannot take the cat out of the animal because that's his normal behavior, right? Okay. All right. So this person goes on to say, the person that underwent the surgery, he goes on to say that his biological sex had never changed, no matter how many procedures he underwent or how many hormones he took. His life was never the same, and his body was forever mutilated. People say to me now, too bad, it was your choice. You should have made a more informed decision. He goes on to say, it's crazy to routinely experiment on kids at any age when it comes to the risk of irreversible changes and could lead to regrettable outcomes as an adult. Imagine the outcry if authority figures encourage children to begin vaping. Knowing the risk of hormone treatments, hormone blockers, and sex change operations, why is there not similar outrage over authority figures encouraging children to transition to the other sex? After all, shouldn't we be more concerned about experimenting with our children's health? Well, it gives us a lot to think about as parents. I do want you to get involved and investigate if your children are vaping. I do want you to get involved with this gender confusion trend that's going on. Speak to other parents, speak to other kids that have gone through each of these things, and do the research, do the homework, and see if it's applicable to your children. I think these two topics are definitely related, and they say that a lot of the vaping does lead, one of the side effects is that it does lead to gender confusion. So the powers that be, they all want us dumb and drugged and weak. Both of these avenues does make a human weak, so we have to be mindful of that. By the way, if you happen to have missed last week's show, we were talking about men who forgave their partners. Most men would just leave. What happened in these instances to make these men forgive their cheating spouse? Were the women that exceptional? Did these men just have a soft spot? Or was it the good old, it's easier to stay than break up rule? Well, you'll want to catch last week's show if you missed it. Lots of ways you can do so. You can Google the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross, the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross, and the best way to catch up is on SoundCloud. You can listen to this show as well as any and all of my archive shows, about 5 years worth of shows. So make that happen. We're also on TuneIn, and of course, right here on Blog Talk Radio. You can also catch up on previous episodes. If you want to listen to the show live for next week, if you're listening on archive right now, but you want to listen live, you can go to blogtalkradio.com/DT Linda Gross. That's short for dating tips, DT Linda Gross. All right? And we appreciate your being here. So show your love. Listen, call, subscribe, chat, like our fan page, follow, comment, share, tell a friend, start with my Amazon link, download my app, and buy my book on Amazon. Again, that book name is Mastering Women, The Real Truth About Women That Will Change Your Life Forever. So I know you're going to love it, so you better go get it. You're going to learn a lot, and you don't want to miss out. All right? So we thank you for joining our episode today. You can listen to us each and every Tuesday right here on Blog Talk Radio. We're on 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio. And again, that link is blogtalkradio.com/DT Linda Gross. Bye for now, and we'll catch you next time on the Men's Advocate Show.